I did think something I want to segue to before we cut tonight is Cam has a history. She spent some time in the modeling industry.
Yeah.
And I did want to touch on that because I'm like, there's probably a lot of areas where vulnerability plays into that. And I think that there's a lot of stuff and truth to that area that people don't realize she could shed light on. So can you tell us a little bit about the history and time you spent? Because I know you like lived in Paris and like
China,
maybe Japan, China, somewhere.
You were
I don't
on
know.
like the
So
Wheel of Fortune of China, right?
Yeah.
And like we're looking at it like, oh my gosh, Cam, you bad bitch. But you can see like kind of like, yeah, it might have looked like that. Like I was living the modeling life, but you don't know what went on in the inside.
For sure. All right. So yeah. So when I was like 13, my parents signed me up for this like modeling agency thing that we like paid for. They like had classes and like whatever. Well, first off, if someone ever makes you pay for classes or anything, it's fake. It's not real. It's not like whatever. And so, but I did that for like 13, 14, and then started kind of 15. But I was like, you know, some of my own like life things and, you know, whatever. And again, all that was like paid. And then I got involved with an agency right after I turned 16. And I built my book. And essentially what that meant was I did like a bunch of photo shoots that like, you know, when you show someone your book, it's like a big, large photo book, whatever. And you like scroll through pictures and it's, you know, you're in different environments or different, you know. Anyway, it's like an Instagram feed, but like for fashion. And I am 5'10", or I was 5'10" when I was like 16. And I was like 90 pounds. I was like really small. And we like built my book, like whatever. And they're called what is a mother agency. So they are like an umbrella. So they build your book, which is almost like your resume. And then they will send your stuff out to other markets, whether it's local or not. And they sent my stuff out to LA and, you know, New York and Paris and China and like whatever. And at that point in my life, I was like having a hard time at home. And they said, someone gave you a contract in LA and in China. And I was like, I will go to China. So I was 16. And if you were to ask my mom now, why the hell did you let her go there? She'd say, I have no idea. But they gave me my offer on Friday and I moved to Beijing, China on Sunday.
Wait, did you do this all alone?
Yep. I didn't have any parents with me. They just bought me a plane ticket and sent me there. And my whole plane ride could be another like fucking like hour podcast. Like, I mean, like my like stories are like pretty wild, but I showed up there. Like these two people picked me up and they took me to this like black car, and in the back seat there was like a book with all my pictures in it. And so I was like, yeah, this is where I should be. At like 16, never left Nashville, like whatever. So they took me to an apartment, and I ended up living there for about 8 months. And then I did Beijing Fashion Week while I was there. I worked with a lot of like really cool clients. But also like with that came like a lot of like really kind of like scary stuff as like a 16-year-old. Like it's really hard to get a working visa there, and like it's really hard especially to like model there because a lot of people in China like their jobs to stay in China. And so, which is totally understandable. And so it was kind of hard to get a working visa. So a lot of people work there illegally, especially as models. And so I remember this like one time I like went to a casting, and I was like, just like this alleyway into the like door place that we were supposed to go. It was like a these huge glass doors into like a really big design studio. So I was walking down this alley, and then all of a sudden someone started kind of like screaming, and I was like, what? Like, this isn't normal. And people started running out of the building. And so I started kind of like running with them. I thought it was like a fire. And the police had like made a sting there because, so probably should have prefaced this. All the girls I lived with, none of them were American. All of them were like either Russian or Polish. And so a lot of the girls that I work with, whether they were from wherever, had proper working visas, it was, again, hard to get one. They didn't have one, all that to say. So if you were to get caught in China working without a working visa, there were significant consequences. And so a lot of the models, again, it was really hard to get a working visa there, didn't have working visas. So all these girls started running, and it was a sting. It wasn't a real casting. It was a fake casting. So all these girls were running, and there was just all these vans lined up, and everyone just kind of like jumped into a van and started going. And it was kind of obviously very scary for me because I was like, I had a proper visa. Like, I was there, like, whatever. So we all like jumped into like a van, and that was kind of like the big, like, holy shit moment for me, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was probably after that happened, maybe 4 months after I was there. And things kind of started spiraling after that. And it got to a point where I ended up leaving. Long story short, after all of that, came home, finished high school, and then I was like, I think I'm ready to start doing this again. I went to New York and modeled in New York for a little bit, went to Paris, and then came home, and then kind of realized that this wasn't something that I wanted to do anymore. So came home, broke my contract, and came home, decided I wanted to go to school. And then now I started as a psychology major, and I wanted to do, funny enough, human trafficking.
Oh yeah, I forgot that about you.
Yeah. Okay. So when I met you, I was doing that. Yeah. So
you knew me too.
Cool job. That's when I was working with women who were like transitioning out of human trafficking.
Not a cool job, but those girls loved you.
Yeah. Sometimes when I start talking about like the whole modeling thing, like I'll like get on this thing.
I'm thinking like you jumped into a van, you got into a black car, and like these people took you. I'm like, sister.
No, look, I can tell you. So sometimes when I start talking about that, I'll like keep talking. And the thing is like, I could again tell you so many different stories. But, and then I ended up meeting you guys. I'd only been out of that for like a year and a half, 2 years.
After
like when I met you guys. Yeah.
Damn.
And so then I kind of was like, school is important. And I realized that some of the stuff that went on in that industry was like, needed help, So I was like, I'll do like human trafficking, whatever. So I started doing that, and I absolutely loved it. And unfortunately, when I was finishing my like senior year, everything went online, and I'm super dyslexic. And so doing stuff online without like personal attention from a teacher and like getting help, it was like nearly impossible. So I kind of was like met with this thing of like, do you change your major or do you like fail out the semester and take a break? And I was like, well, I did take a break when I was like modeling, and I didn't want to go back. I know if I do it again, I won't go back to school. So I ended up just like going into media and entertainment. And right now, like my goal is to kind of like have a thing where I have a say, because like modeling, like now, if you talk to like any model that's like kind of really done anything, they'll say like, it's kind of like a running joke in the modeling industry of like models are clothes hangers. Unless you can do it a clothes hanger, like you can be a clothes hanger without emotions, or like you can have somebody there, and if they are having a bad day, you can call in like 12 other people that are like taller, prettier, and better at what you do there. So do your job, or there's going to be someone else, take your place easily. Yeah. And so when you do that for so long, it's like really upsetting,
Yeah.
So I kind of, and I saw some of the like, fortunately, unfortunately, saw some of that, the human trafficking aspect happen. And, what I was doing. And so I kind of had, I could like, it like lit a fire. And so that's what I wanted to do. And then when everything went online, I kind of was like, I honestly don't think that this is something that I can do online. Cause doing like, Belle can probably attest, doing like cognitive psychology or like abnormal psychology online. She did it. Good for you. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
So I ended up changing to like media and entertainment. And I guess where I'm at right now is kind of like in my free time, y'all saw some of the videos and stuff that I did. Like that's like what my passion is. And that's like what I love doing is being involved in like stuff that's creative. So
you definitely have an eye for it too. Like that's good.
Thank you.
And I think you definitely are in a spot where you deserve to have a voice, not only of what you've been through, but
there was like no voice.
Yeah. There you didn't have a voice. You kind of were just in line with everyone else. And it's like, okay, well, at the end of the day, you don't even care who the fuck I am as a person. You're just using my body as an image to get what you want.
If nothing else I was almost 6 feet tall. And by the time I was in Paris, I was 98 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, don't understand how small 98 pounds is.
Yeah, that's fucking tiny.
And almost 6 feet tall. Like,
and
that was
not
like,
fucking healthy.
It was, fucking big thing that happened is it's a normal thing for like girls to like eat cotton balls and like let tissue paper dissolve on their tongues, because if you didn't know, when you start salivating, your digestive system kind of starts, because it's like, oh, I'm about to accept food. So it starts digesting. So girls would start eating like cotton balls and like letting tissue paper dissolve on their tongues instead of eating.
Because then once it digests, it dissolves.
And there's no calories in cotton balls. I mean, maybe there is, but I mean, there's no like, there's 5 calories for cotton ball. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's funny, but like, it's a very fucked up industry. And like, you get measured in front of people, you get weighed in front of people. Like, people will like point to you and like either speak in English or another language of like, this one's fat, like this one's got too big of hips, this one's too like, and you're standing there like half naked in front of these like
waiting to be the chosen one.
Yeah, and it's in front of these like very big brands of like, I'm not only denied this position, but I'm denied publicly in front of these people that are like have better skin, better bodies, better are taller, or like.
But then it's like the fat, like not fat, but like it's the man in the suit that's bald and like has it.
Oh yeah,
like saying that shit.
That hasn't starved themselves for months. That
and he's like, she's too fat, she's too whatever. Like he's too this. It's like, okay, why don't you get on this fucking scale?
Yeah,
like,
you stand up here right now. It's like it became a point where I was like, and then also. Not everybody, because some people do it in other ways, but a lot of it is like drugs, alcohol, and sex. Like that's a huge part of the industry. And if anybody that tells you differently is just quite honestly lying to you, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's like, if you're not about that, like, honestly, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like if you're not going to be about that, like a huge part of it is like, maybe it's like a coping thing. Maybe it's like a social thing, but all of it is being socially accepted, you know? And if you're not, or if you're, sometimes it's like, you know, and again, not every time, but it's like, say there's a photographer, there's a girl that is either just as good as you or better, will sleep with him, she'll get the job over you. And again, not all the time, you know, but there are some times where it's, you know, but at the same time, when you're not about that and you're surrounded by that constantly, it's kind of like...
Yeah, and it's just like looking really at those posts and looking at models. It's like, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Also, I did this photo shoot and I saw the after pictures and I didn't recognize it until I looked at it for a second and it was fucking me. They had done so many editing and again, like, I don't know if this is allowed to be in like the podcast or whatever, but there was a girl in, okay, let me make this fake. Hold on. There are some situations that sometimes people's heads and bodies are not the same people on large campaigns. So whether you can use that. So there are some ads that you see that the person's stomach that you're seeing is a different person than their face, and the person getting their money has that's a do not resuscitate.
Oh,
Do not
Not a
disclose
DNR.
a D&D?
D&D.
Is that what it's called?
Do not discuss. Do not disclose.
Whatever.
Do
Like
not.
they literally sign a contract
NDA.
that says
Thank you.
NDA. Whatever. That they
NDA.
literally whatever.
NDA.
NDA.
That says you cannot disclose this, but I will pay you for your services. And like even major brands of underwear. The
I
know what you're
and
referencing.
the body and the face is not the same at all.
Yeah.
And the person that happened to be in these campaigns or commercials or whatever was like literally talking to me and was just like, it's kind of sucks, that like
Because they can't
like
even
me
show
for
their
my
true
stomach, but I look up and it's like not my face, or the person's like,
Or it's
that's my
different legs.
face.
Yeah.
But yeah. And also, those like for nails where they have the person's face in their
Yeah.
hand, Google it. There's like professional hand models where it's like famous models' faces that are like posing whatever, and there's like a shelf thing that's right above, like right by their collarbones, and it's someone else's hands. So if you look at the behind the scenes, it's someone
You
standing
see the
right, and it's
people.
the other people's hands. Like it's like not even real. Like nothing that you see is real life. So when you do that from the age of 13
Yeah.
to like, I'm ill, like
Yeah.
I'm like mentally not doing well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's crazy looking in.
I didn't realize you were that young at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is.
Did you just, out of curiosity, at 13 when you got involved in all that, was that because it's something you wanted to do, or was that something like your parents wanted you to do, or how did that happen?
You know how like when you see like maybe like younger, skinnier people that you're like, oh, you should be a model, like, or like as like a
So it was
so
something that
pretty,
was
like,
approached to you.
Yeah.
Like, you look like you would be a model.
yeah. And it was like, I was like so right now I'm like 5'11", and I'm still like the shortest one on my dad's side. Like I'm very much like a short person. So like all growing up, like it was like very tall, beautiful people. But I was like tall and skinny and blonde, and it was like, you should model. So of course, as like parents, it's kind of like, and I don't blame my parents at all, because I can't say that I would, I don't know, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, maybe this is like a good hobby for you. You don't really understand the significance of it, as in like my child is beautiful. Like I would love for them to like,
Why not
capitalize on
let
their
them-
beautiful. Yeah. So I think that a lot of that went into like, I remember, what was that brand? I don't know. I can't remember what brand it was, but I was wearing this, like, I remember my first like runway thing. I was wearing these like Justice skinny jeans, and this, it's
Justice.
like Bobby.
Oh yeah, the bobs.
No, the shirt. It was
the pops.
There are the
those
bobs.
are the knockoff Toms.
Yeah, the bobs.
No, I'm
Honey,
talking
that's
about
not
the
it.
shirts. They were like the dogs that were.
The dogs? Like,
Do you know what I'm talking
dog
about? Yeah, they were dogs, but they were they were like commercial animated. They were called like Bob's, or the monkey. Bobby Jack.
Okay. I don't know.
Bobby
what it is,
Jack the
but-
monkey?
Yes.
I had those shirts. I know
Yes.
what you're talking about. You
So I
said
had
dogs.
this- I know.
I'll have to Google.
Anyway,
Bobby Jack.
I had like some Justice skinny jeans, probably some Toms.
Yeah.
Like, or Bob's. And like that. And I like walked down the runway, and they're like, you're going to be it. And I was like, fuck yes. Like I was like,
Like, yeah.
13 years old.
Yeah.
Like, and then it kind of like, and again, I could talk about this for like ever, like the things that go into that, of like a lot of it is like a money scam, and that's like a real thing. And it became very much of like a money scam, like when I was younger. And then I happened to catch the eye of somebody that like could actually do stuff for me. So I went to China, and then I came back, finished high school, and then I went to New York, and then went to Paris, and I decided that that's not what I wanted to do anymore. So all of that that was probably like a 45-minute thing that I could say. But long story short, I was like, this is like very much of a short-term thing that
Just test
I
the water.
can't do. Yeah, it was really emotionally and physically taxing on me that I definitely had to like, you know, unfortunately seek help other places. But then like right when I came home, I said, I'm buzzing my head. So I buzzed my head and started getting tattoos.
Wait, I remember seeing that picture of you. I'm like, you would not think it was you.
Yeah, I remember the picture you showed me. You had short ass hair and you were looking down and you were like...
See, that's when I was like coming home where I was like, I'm going to redefine what it is to like be me, like also like be gay.
You found yourself.
Also
though.
like, yeah. And
it was your journey of finding you. So
yeah, so all about to say like my journey of,
like you look back at it and it's like the modeling scene, like you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but also
For
like
sure.
you went through that at such a young age to where like you look back and you're like grateful that it kind of did
For
happen
sure.
because you were able to realize and you were able to be like, yo, this ain't for me. Like for others, they may see it and you may think it's like peaches and roses and like you're walking down the runway and everything. But it's good to know that you were able to like find you in that process, even though it was tolling and difficult for you.
Well, for like anybody that's like wanting to like model, let me tell you, I was going to castings from like 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning till like dead of night with like Prada and like Gucci and like very main brands. And I was living in a bunk bed in a very, very small room with like one like chest of drawer with like 12 other girls.
So do you think it's like different if like, so you doing that, and I'm not saying that like, what I'm saying is comparing you to like Emma Chamberlain, who is modeling for like Gucci, like, does she have the same, she doesn't have to live in a 1-bedroom, like
No.
nothing like that. So
you think of like, so the agency, if it gives you any like perspective, one of the agencies that I was with had Haley Baldwin. Yeah, Justin Bieber's fucking wife. She had her own, like, the thing is when you're kind of just like someone like hires you on, what they do is they essentially say, you can come stay at this apartment, and you rack up a bill essentially. So everything that they do for you, they essentially like your rent each month, the hair, the clothing, the this, the that, they rack up like a small bill for you. Small bill. And every job, so you get like a runway show for like a huge brand or like a, you know, campaign or XYZ, right? Everything. So on small terms, let's say that your rent, your plane ticket, XYZ costs $10, right? You do this giant fashion show for $15. $10 will go back paying the agency and you will only make $5. But it's very glossed over when you're first starting. And it's very like kind of behind the scenes of like everything that they start paying for you, you know, is like, so one of the girls that I worked with made like a bunch of money, and she either barely broke even or like barely made any money. Like it was like they will like slowly start making this,
racking it up.
Yeah. Of all the stuff that you have costed them. So everything you make after that. And then sometimes they'll be like, oh, do you need pocket money? Like we'll give you money to spend this week. Do you need groceries? Do you need this or that? That fucking goes onto your bill. And so you could have a giant campaign and say you're, you know, between your plane ticket, your rent, your Ubers to and from places, XYZ is like $50,000, right? Like, because that's honestly, if you're I was living in Manhattan, like, right? Like that was about maybe my first month.
Yeah.
Say I got like a huge job for like $25,000 and I worked my ass off for like weeks, right? That was $25,000. Not only did they take all of that, I still owe them $25,000.
Damn.
This reminds me of like a record deal where you owe the recoup amount.
I mean,
like,
it
that's
is.
what it is.
Isn't that crazy.
Yeah.
You're still starving yourself, like going to all of these, like, I mean, dude, the whole modeling agency shit. That's why, like, I very much appreciate, like, I'm not even gonna get into the whole thing, like, Instagram model versus, like, fashion model, because I think what goes into fashion modeling is a lot more than Instagram modeling. But I will say, you will probably make a lot more Instagram modeling, and you will get a lot more attention, because so many of my roommates were like runway models for like major brands. You have absolutely no idea. I don't even remember half of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they don't have any following. They don't have like anything, but they're starving themselves like
that's fucking
cotton
sad.
balls and shit.
Yeah, that's fucking terrible. Damn. I mean, it puts a perspective on, and now I'll look at models and be like, oh shit, I never know what's going on with you there. But also, it sounds like starting out, it sounds ideal, but then, like you said, your bill starts racking, and until you're making like triple of what you're doing, then
and you can look up even on YouTube, like, you know, I saw like a couple after I'd gotten out, like some people that are like, and it's hard to speak out against them because normally you have about like 4-year contracts, like 1, 2, 3, 4-year contracts. And so legally you can't speak out against them for a long time, or you'll get like crazy lawsuits.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
fucking sad. Yeah.
So like, seriously, like if you see like, I mean, people that are, look up people who are speaking out against the modeling agencies, because I think people are doing better for themselves doing it on their own.
Yeah.
So like, good for you if you can fucking make it. I mean, it's hard. I mean, to make it either way.
I mean, regardless, yeah, you're still going to have obstacles, but pick and choose what obstacles you can face and put your mental health kind of first. And if you do decide that it isn't for you, then that's okay too. It's not necessarily that you're giving up. It's just that it's a path that you're not wanting to take anymore. So got to do what's best for you.
How much do you have left of your beer?
Quite some, but it's
How
all
much
good.
do you have left of your drink, Faith?
Not tons, but I'm trying to keep my throat from doing that weird thing it does when I drink more alcohol.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
all good.
pretty much. So I had to slow down.
We did drink this episode, and this was kind of nice.
We drank more than normal on this
I
one.
need you guys to preface this at the beginning.
Yeah,
Please.
Yeah,
since the beginning.
Yeah, when we wrap, we're gonna follow up on
for sure
for an intro. But before we wrap, you know, to cap this modeling subject, what is like a top lesson you would say you learned from that maybe you carry on now? Not to put you on a spot or anything, or two, I don't know, I'm not trying to make you like stress choosing.
Honestly, like, you are your longest commitment. And in saying that, I was in like a pretty hard relationship when I had gone through all of that. And I think it made me very much appreciate the romantic relationship that I'm in now, but also like the friendships that I have. But you're your longest commitment. And I think it's really important to, like, when you're weighing options or you're going through something, to realize that when it comes to, like, you know, when it comes down to it, you are the one that has to live with the decision that you make. Like, you're the one that has to live with, like, if you try to make someone happy for a really long time, you are not going to be happy. So obviously compromise is very important, but when it comes down to it, like, dude, like, you are your longest commitment and you're the one that has to deal with XYZ for however long. So I think for me, when it came to like my personal physical health and my personal mental health, I started getting better when I chose to get better and when I started choosing to make decisions for me. And I actually started getting happier, and I met you guys. So, like,
yeah.
And then also when you think about how big the group was, the decisions that all of us have made to, like, kind of get to, like, the chill place where we're at, where we're, like, supporting ourselves, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So So like, yeah, like you're your longest commitment.
I like that.
And I think that you play into the relationships that you want. Like if you know,
for
friendship,
sure.
relationship, like whatever, you can make it work. And if someone's not gonna give a shit, literally, hey, Bo, what was that thing that my mom read to me? Stop having okay, yeah, I can't remember who she said it was from, but stop having hard conversations with people who are not willing to change. And it's like, why the fuck do you have to keep putting yourself through shit when people honestly, like, with people specifically who are not willing to, like, do anything about it?
Lift a finger for you.
So you're hurting and they're just passively listening.
And you're hurting yourself more and more.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
So you're your longest commitment, and stop having hard conversations with people who are not willing to change.
Yeah. People who ain't shit.
That was a really good end cap, actually.
It was. No, for
I'm
sure.
like, this episode is now called "You Are Your Longest Commitment."
You are your fucking longest commitment, and don't forget it. Well, hell yeah.
Think about it as like, let me literally just spill beer on my face. As an example, you're your longest commitment. You make a choice, it stays with you. I chose to get a stupid tattoo with my ex. Guess what? Who's living with I am living with it.
Yeah.
It's like you make choices for you.
You make choices for you, for sure. Yeah. Well.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
We might have Cam back at a later time.
I better get a final copy of this before it's published.
I'll try. It's got to go out on Tuesday, so I gotta send it on Friday.
You
for
got some
mastering.
time to
But
do.
We will. So thanks for listening, and
Tune in.
hope you enjoyed
next
this. This is
time.
our first run at a guest, and we're gonna try to have more. So
Yeah.
we want y'all
Y'all are
to
gonna have to like put more time for guests and realize.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
It's
Actually,
all
for
good.
me, we're gonna have. I could literally talk for like
No,
so much longer.
you're good. You're good.
No, you're good. But so we'll probably have Cam back at another time. But
For sure.
until then, we hope y'all all have a good week, and we will see you next week.
Bye. Thanks, guys, for listening.
You can follow us over at No Subject Apparel on all social media.
You can discover us on YouTube.
And please like, subscribe, follow, and review us on whatever platform you're currently listening on.
New episodes will be dropped every Tuesday.
And you can sign up for our mailing list in the description of this episode to get a personal message from us and reminders for new episodes every week.